My boyfriend is trying to take a nap in the background, so if you guys hear tossing and turning or snoring, that's what that is. There's also a fan on, but I'm gonna turn that off. Hey guys, it's me, Bridget, and I'm back with another video. Today is the long-awaited Chapter 9 video for Women Who Run with Wolves. This has been a freaking long time coming. I promise you, I did not forget. I told you guys I'll never forget, and I'm back. So here we are. Obviously I didn't forget, and we're here. It's taken me a really long time to get through this chapter just because, well, it was personal, and it hit personally, for things that I needed to work on, so I think that kind of played a part in it. And then also it was just a really long chapter, and I really wanted to get through a lot of points and make them very concise for you guys. So yeah, it's probably gonna be another marathon, so there'll probably be videos after video after video. I don't know how many there's gonna be at this moment, just because I haven't been able to go through all of the notes and separate to see how long each thing is gonna be. It'll probably be at least 3 or 4 videos because it's a pretty long chapter. Without further ado, I feel like we should just get into the chapter because I don't really have anything else to say for y'all. Chapter 9 is called Homing, Returning to Oneself. I want to start off the chapter talking about something that Estes said in the book. Among ethnic groups throughout the world, including many in the circumpolar region and West Africa, it is said that humans are not truly animated until the soul gives birth to the spirit, tenders and nurses it, filling it up with strength. Eventually, the soul is believed to retreat to a farther home while the spirit begins its independent life in the world. In today's story, we'll be discussing the birth of the spirit through the union of the soul and the ego, and the habit and practice of homegoing to maintain peace within your soul. The story of the Sealskin represents the struggle of many wild women in the process of initiation into their wildness. It's about learning to maintain communion with the soul while learning to integrate with the mundane world of the ego. The story is called Sealskin, Soulskin, and here it goes. During a time that once was, is now gone forever, and will come back again soon, there's day after day of white sky, white snow, and all the tiny specks in the distance are people or dogs or bear. Here, nothing thrives for the asking. The wind blows hard, so the people have to wear their parkas and boots sideways on purpose now. Here, words freeze in the open air, and the whole sentences must be broken from the speaker's lips and thawed at the fire so people can see what has been said. Here, the people live in the white and abundant hair of an old Anuluk, the old grandmother, the old sorceress who is Earth herself. And it was in this land that there lived a man so lonely that over the years, tears had carved great chasms into his cheeks. He tried to smile and be happy. He hunted, he trapped, and he slept well, but he wished for human company. Sometimes, out in the shallows in his kayak, when a seal came near, he remembered the old stories about how seals were once human, and the only reminder of that time was their eyes, which were capable of portraying those looks, those wise and wild and loving looks. And sometimes, then, he felt such a pang of loneliness that tears coursed down the well-used cracks in his face. One night, he hunted past dark, but found nothing. As the moon rose in the sky and the ice floes glistened, he came to a great spotted rock in the sea, and it appeared to his keen eye that upon that old rock there was a movement of the most graceful kind. He paddled slow and deep to be closer, and there, atop the mighty rock, danced a small group of women, naked as the first day that they were lain upon their mothers' bellies. Well, he was a lonely man with no human friends but in memory, and he stayed and watched. The women were like beings made of moon milk, and their skin shimmered with little silver dots like those on the salmon in springtime, and the women's feet and hands were long and graceful. So beautiful were they that the man sat stunned in his boat, the water lapping, taking him closer and closer to the rock. He could hear the magnificent women laughing. At least they seemed to laugh, or was it the water laughing at the edge of the rock? The man was confused, for he was so dazzled. But somehow the loneliness that had weighed on his chest like a wet hide was lifted away. And almost without thinking, as though he was meant, he jumped up onto the rock and stole one of the sealskins laying there. He hid behind an outcropping and he pushed the sealskin into his parka. Soon, one of the women called in a voice that was the most beautiful he had ever heard, like the whales calling at dawn. Or no, maybe it was more like the newborn wolves tumbling down in the spring. No, it was something better than that. Better, but it doesn't matter because what were the women doing now? Why, they were putting on their sealskins, and one by one, the seal women were slipping into the sea, yelping and crying happily. Except for one. The tallest of them searched high and searched low for her sealskin, but it was nowhere to be found. The man felt emboldened. By what, he did not know. He stepped from the rock, appealing to her. Woman, be my wife. I am a lonely man. Oh, I cannot be a wife, she said, for I am of the other, the ones who live beneath. Be my wife, insisted the man. In 7 summers I will return your sealskin to you, and you may stay or you may go as you wish. The young woman looked long into his face with eyes that The young seal woman looked long into his face with eyes that but for her true origins seemed human. Reluctantly she said, I will go with you. After 7 summers it shall be decided. So in that time they had a child, whom they named Uruk, and the child was lithe and fat. In winter, the mother told Uruk tales of the creatures that lived beneath the sea, while the father whittled a bear or a wolf in white stone with his long knife. When his mother carried the child Uruk to bed, she pointed out through the smoke holes to the clouds all their shapes. Except instead of recounting the shapes of raven or bear and wolves, she recounted the stories of walruses, whales, seals, and salmon, for those were the creatures she knew. But as time went on, her flesh began to dry out. First it flaked, and then it cracked. The skin of her eyelids began to peel. The hair of her head began to drop to the ground. She became palest white. Her plumpness began to wither. She tried to conceal her limp. Each day her eyes, without her willing it so, became more dull. She began to put out her hand in order to find her way, for her sight was darkening. And so it went until one night when the child Uruk was awakened by shouting and sat upright in his sleeping skins. He heard a roar like a bear, that was his father berating his mother. He heard a crying like a silver rung on stone, that was his mother. You hid my sealskin 7 long years ago, and now the 8th winter comes. I want what I am made of returned to me, cried the seal woman. And you, woman, would leave me if I gave it to you, boomed the husband. I do not know what I would do. I only know that I must have what I belong to. And you would leave me wifeless and the boy motherless. You're bad. And with that, her husband tore the hide flap of the door aside and disappeared into the night. The boy loved his mother so much. He feared losing her, and so he cried himself to sleep, only to be awakened by the wind. A strange wind. It seemed to call to him, Uruk, Uruk. And out of the bed he climbed, so hastily that he put his parka on upside down and pulled his muluks only halfway up. Hearing his name called over and over, he dashed out into the starry, starry night sky. Uruk. The child ran out to the cliff overlooking the water, and there, far out in the windy sea, was the huge, shaggy silver seal. Its head was enormous. Its whiskers dropped to its chest. Its eyes were deep yellow. The boy scrambled down the cliff and stumbled at the bottom of a stone. No, a bundle that had rolled out of a cleft in the rock. The boy's hair lashed at his face like 1,000 rains of ice. The boy scratched open the bundle and shook it out. It was his mother's sealskin. Oh, and he could smell her all through it. And as he hugged the sealskin to his face and inhaled her scent, her soul slammed through him like a sudden summer wind. Oh, he cried with pain and joy, and lifted the skin again to his face, and again her soul passed through his. Oh, he cried, for he was being filled with the unending love of his mother. And the old silver seal, way out, sank slowly beneath the water. The boy climbed the cliff and ran toward home with the sealskin flying behind him, and into the house he fell. His mother swept him and the skin up and closed her eyes in gratitude for the safety of both. She pulled on her sealskin. "Oh, mother, no," cried the child. She scooped up the child, tucked him under her arm, and half ran, half stumbled toward the roaring sea. "Oh, mother, no, don't leave me," Uruk cried. And at once you could tell she wanted to stay with her child. She wanted to, but something called to her, something older than she, older than he, and older than time itself. "Oh, mother, no, no, no," cried the child. She turned to him with a look of dreadful love in her eyes. She took the boy's face in her hands and breathed her sweet breath into his lungs once, twice, 3 times. Then, with him under her arm like a precious bundle, she dove into the sea, down, down, and down, and still deeper down. And the seal woman and her child breathed easily underwater. And they swam deep and strong till they entered the underwater cove of the seals, where all manner of creatures were dining and singing, dancing and speaking. And the great giant silver seal that had called to Uruk from the night sea embraced the child and called him grandson. "How fare you up there, daughter?" asked the great silver seal. The seal woman looked away and said, "I hurt a human, a man who gave his all to have me, but I cannot return to him, for I shall be a prisoner if I do." "And the boy," said the old seal, "my grandchild?" He said it so proudly his voice shook. "He must go back, father. He cannot stay. His time is not yet to be here with us." And she wept, and together they wept. So some days and nights passed, 7 to be exact, during which time the luster came back to the seal woman's hair and eyes. She turned a beautiful dark color. Her sight was restored, her body regained its plumpness, and she swam uncrippled. Yet it came time to return the boy to land. On that night, the old grandfather seal and the boy's beautiful mother swam with the child between them. Back they went, back up, 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 up and up to the topside world. There they gently placed Uruk on the stony shore in the moonlight. His mother assured him, "I am always with you. Only touch what I have touched, my fire sticks, my knife, my stone carvings of otters and seals, and I will breathe into your lungs a wind for the singing of your souls." The old silver seal and his daughter kissed the child many times. At last they tore themselves away and swam out to sea, and with one last look at the boy, they disappeared beneath the waters. And Uruk, because it was not his time, stayed. As time went on, he grew to be a mighty drummer and singer and a maker of stories. And it was said that this all came to be because, as a child, he had survived being carried out to sea by the great seal spirits. Now, in the gray mists of morning, sometimes he can still be seen, with his kayak tethered, kneeling upon a certain rock in the sea, seeming to speak to a certain female seal who often comes near the shore. Though many have tried to hunt her, time after time they fail. She is known as the Bright One, the Holy One, And it is said that though she may be a seal, her eyes are capable of portraying those human looks, those wise and wild and loving looks. Okay, so that is the story. We'll begin really getting into the chapter and dissecting it in the next video, but I did want to talk about just a few key points to like give a synopsis of what we're going to get into and like a basis summary understanding of the story itself in the chapter. So basically in the story, the seal mother is the soul, the father, the lonely man, is the ego, and the child that they create together is the spirit. Seals are a lot like our souls in the same way that dogs are like our souls, actually. They're open, they're kind, they're friendly, they're curious, they're expressive. A seal, just like a soul, does not run from mystery, and it's engaged with the world around it. A young, naive seal has no fear of any threat. It remains pure and open and trusting to strangers. Just like a naive seal, an uninitiated soul can be caught in a moment of blissful expression and be taken advantage of if it's not protected by means of understanding, which are like ingrained based on experience with the world and communion with the ego. In the book it says, "I have come to a sense over the years of working with capture and theft of treasure motives, and from analyzing many men and women, that there is in the individuation process of most everyone at least one time a significant theft. Some people characterize it as a theft of their great opportunity in life. Others define it as larceny of love or robbing of one's spirit, a weakening of the sense of self. Some describe it as a distraction, a break, an interference, or interruption of something vital to them. Their art, their love, their dream, their hope, their belief in goodness, their development, their honor, their striving. Most of the time, this major theft creeps up on a person from their blind side. It comes upon women for the same reasons that it occurs in the story, because of naivete, poor insight into the motives of others, inexperience in projecting what may happen in the future, not paying attention to all the clues in the environment, and because fate is always weaving lessons into the weft. The robbing of your soul can happen to literally anyone from any background, creed, ethnicity, race, social background, economic background, gender, status, anything. Anyone can experience the robbing of the soul, and most people do experience it at least at one point in their life. The key is to learn from it, because the robbing of the soul is actually not an ending at all. It's not a bad thing at all. It's actually the beginning of an initiation process into the best journey that you can ever take in your life. It's almost like getting jumped into the best gang that you could ever possibly join, that everyone should join. Like, it's a bad thing that happens, it's kind of painful, but it teaches you and gets you ready for the process to learn to do better things for the rest of your life. If gangs were like good. That probably was a bad example, but it's what came to mind. In the book, Estes says, "The process of retrieving the treasure and figuring out how to replenish oneself develops 4 vital constructs in the psyche. When the dilemma is met head-on and the descent to the river beneath the river is made, it fiercely strengthens our resolve to strive for conscious reclamation. It clarifies over time what is that is most important to us. It fills us up with the need to have a plan for freeing ourselves psychically and or otherwise, and to enact our newly found wisdom. Finally, and most importantly, it develops our medial nature, the wild and knowing part of our psyche that can also traverse the world of the soul and the world of humans." Finally, I want to say before we move on to the second part of the chapter, as grateful as I am to have these books, I don't think I say enough in these videos one thing that I hope that you guys pick up on through watching the videos. If not, I hope that maybe as you guys comment about this sometimes, like my response back to you helps you know this. But I am no expert on this. This is something that I'm learning at the same time as you guys. I'm reading this book. Well, I've read the book already, and I'm going back through it with you guys, but it's an ongoing process for me. It's something that I'm working on regularly, the initiation of my soul, and like being able to traverse between ego and soul using my spirit and being in touch with my wild side and all of that. I'm hoping that you guys understand that, because I am not the initiator for you. I've learned a lot from Estes, and every one of these chapters makes me feel more and more wise, which is why I do this book, which is why I want to share this book with you guys. But like I said, I am no expert and I don't know everything, and Estes makes it very clear to know that it's important to take this process on as yourself. That's why I'm letting you know, like, I'm not a expert. That's why I always recommend to you guys that you guys should buy the book yourselves and read it just as much as I do, because this is not like something that I can teach someone. This is something that you have to learn for yourself. In the book, Estes says, one of the central and most potentially destructive issues women face is that of beginning various psychological initiation processes with initiators who do not complete the process themselves. They have no seasoned person who knows how to proceed. When initiators are incompletely initiated themselves, they omit important aspects of the process without realizing it, and sometimes visit great abuse on the initiant, for they are working with fragmentary ideas of initiation, one that is often tainted in one way or another. At the other end of the spectrum is the woman who has experienced death, who is striving for knowledge and mastery of the situation, but who has run out of directions and does not know that there is more to practice in order to complete the learning, and so repeats the first stage, that of being stolen from, over and over and over again. Through whatever circumstance, she has gotten tangled in the reins. Essentially, she is without instruction. Instead of discovering the requirements of a healthy, wildish soul, she becomes a casualty of an incompleted initiation. Because matrilineal lines of initiation, older women teaching younger women certain psychic facts and procedures of the wild feminine, have been fragmented and broken for so many women over so many years, it is a blessing to have the archaeology of fairy tale to learn from. What can be derived from those deep templates echoes in the innate patterns of women's most integral psychological processes. In this sense, fairy tales and mythos are initiators. They are the wise ones who teach those who have come after. So that is the end of beginning the chapter. In summary, basically what we're going to go into is learning about the process of losing your soul time, basically. So like when you go into your soul, when you've finally been able to open the door to being wild and like saying hello to your wild woman, and you're dancing with her, and you're in like your deepest state of just soulful bliss and wildness, that moment of when it's stolen from you, and how to prevent stealing in the future so that it doesn't need to be stolen from you. You don't need that lesson. And also how to be able to traverse, because the thing is, you can't stay in your soul state forever. You can't stay in a wildish state forever. The world life is not just wild all the time. So you have to learn how to traverse from soul to ego and like live within the mundane regular world on a regular basis, but also still stay in touch with that deeper soul yearnings and that deeper wild like instinct inside. And through this chapter you learn how to like go back and forth between those things so that you can navigate regular life and that's bothering me and live well. Make sure that you buy the book and are actually reading the book. I know some of you guys watch the videos because you want to buy the book and you haven't yet, but please be sure that eventually you guys read the book and actually get it from Estes herself. I think that my videos are a great help to go with it, and I would love to actually figure out a way that I could share with you guys my notes too, because I think that that would be a great thing to like have along with it. But at the end of the day, this book is so helpful on its own, and you need to get it from this book. That's why my copy looks like this. Whoops. So, yeah. Okay, so in the next chapters, we will be going through explaining the different actual integral parts of the chapter, including the lonely man, the seal woman herself, the spirit child, the process of losing the pellet, the drying out and the crippling, the staying too long, hearing the old ones call, coming back, and the practice of intentional solitude afterwards. All of those things that I just said will make sense after this marathon is over. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm excited for the next one and all the chapters to come. I promise we're never going to stop doing this until we're done with the book, so don't worry about that. And I can't wait to see you guys in the next chapter. Or I mean, well, next part, and then after that, next chapter. Love you guys so much. Oh yeah, like and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Bye! Woo! Wait, before you go, I'm sure I already asked you guys this, and hopefully you already have, but just in case you haven't, make sure you like and comment on this video, and go ahead and share it with your friends too. If you guys enjoyed that video and would like to continue to hang out with me, go ahead and follow my Instagram, yo! I post on there way more often than I do YouTube, and I also respond to my DMs so we could be real friends in like real life, you know? Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And if you're looking for more stuff to watch, this was my last video, and I think you'd really like this video right here. So check it out. I'll be waiting. Go ahead and click whenever you're ready. I'll be waiting. Okay, hopefully you've clicked now. Bye.